Welcome to another episode of Boundaries. We all have boundaries. Some of us even set up fences. How about you? God's boundaries for our lives are meant to give us direction for our purpose. They keep us on His path, the path we were created to follow. Today's episode is called On the Road. On the road to Emmaus, Jesus met two disciples. As the conversation would have it, they were talking about the past week's events about Jesus. They truly did not understand what had happened. Today's scripture is Luke 24:13 through 19. Behold, two of them were traveling that same day to a village called Emmaus, which was 7 miles from Jerusalem. And they talked together of all these things which had happened. So it was, while they conversed and reasoned, that Jesus himself drew near and went with them. But their eyes were restrained, so they did not know him. And he said to them, "What kind of conversation is this that you have with one another as you walk and are sad?" Then the one whose name was Cleopas answered and said to him, "Are you the only stranger in Jerusalem, and have you not known the things which happened there in these days?" And he said to them, "What things?" So they said to him, "The things concerning Jesus of Nazareth, who was a prophet, mighty in deed and word before God and all the people." Mysteriously, Jesus shows himself to the confused and disillusioned disciples on the road to Emmaus. The disciples do not know it's Jesus and think he must be a pilgrim who witnessed Jesus' death. Jesus listens, almost fascinated by their discussion. He remains seemingly ignorant of the events of the past few days. The hopes and dreams of the disciples have seemingly been shattered because Jesus, the prophet, would have redeemed Israel. The concept of redemption for the disciples, and in fact for many Jews, meant that the Messiah must be an all-conquering political hero who would lead them all to freedom. When Jesus died on the cross, their idea of redemption died with him. They thought that the story Mary Magdalene told was simply that, a story. Jesus begins to explain through the scriptures that the Messiah had been fulfilled through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. Jesus, the stranger, had now become a companion on this journey. He stayed and prepared to spend the night with them. Jesus stays and takes the bread given, breaks it, and gives it to each. It is at this moment, as the scriptures have been explained to them, that their hearts burn. They are transformed and they realize their companion is the risen Jesus. Jesus, the living bread, has given them a message of faith, nourishment through Scripture. The believers are sustained by their faith in Jesus that explodes within their hearts. And in Luke 24:25 and 26, Jesus says, "Then he said to them, O foolish ones, and slow of heart to believe in all that the prophets have spoken. Ought not the Christ to have suffered these things and to enter into his glory?" In verse 26, Jesus explains his death and how the Messiah was keeping in God's purpose. The main message here is that the Messiah must suffer and die before he enters glory. Because of Jesus' true love for us, he is never going to push his way through us. He is never going to bully us or force us into believing. Jesus wants to be asked into our hearts. He wants to be asked into our homes. When we do that, then He will open our eyes to endless possibilities, just as He did on the road to Emmaus. Jesus walked with the 2 disciples. They did not recognize Him, but yet they were fascinated by Him, and He was invited to their home. Jesus made them understand that He was the Messiah, and redemption came from the cross. Victory over confusion. Be encouraged. Hold on to hope. Jesus will meet you right where you are, wherever you are. He waits for your invitation because He loves you. He will meet you, well, on the road.